How you doing, guys? I'm Matt Waldin, Pro Drifter, and today we're here with Mishimoto and one of the top tuner cars of all time, the Subaru Impreza WRX. This thing is an absolute beast on the road. With some of the best handling and acceleration a driver can get out of a production car, it's no wonder that these things are popular. The WRX really creates some passionate fans, and for their hookup needs, these guys need a company that's just as passionate. That's where Mishimoto comes in. To show the love for the Subaru WRX, Mishimoto has gathered 3 WRXs for this project. They're here to help your WRX stay cool with the Mishimoto Radiator. For installation of the Mishimoto Radiator in a Subaru WRX, you will need ratchet, extension, 10mm socket, 12mm socket, pliers, needle nose pliers, panel tool, 8mm nut driver, coolant funnel, and coolant. Installation time is about an hour and a difficulty of 3 out of 5. First step, jack up the car and support securely on jack stands. Before beginning any work, you want to disconnect the negative battery terminal to ensure that none of the fans and or other electronic accessories will turn on while you're working on it. Use your panel tool to remove all the plastic clips from the lower panel, as well as the 3 bolts in the front, which we already have removed. Next, slide underneath the car and find the coolant drain, which is illustrated here, and remove. Coolant drain is right here. This is one of the messiest cars to drain coolant out of. Obviously, taking things apart was not on Subaru's top priority list. And that's what you're removing, guys. See that? That is the coolant drain plug. Locate the lower radiator hose here and remove the clamp going to the thermostat housing by squeezing the clamp and sliding it down the hose. Be prepared with the drain pan, as a little bit of coolant will come out of the thermostat housing once you remove the hose. Remove the clamp from the lower radiator hose at the radiator connection. From underneath, disconnect the 2 fan plugs, one on each side of the car. Next step, remove the upper radiator hose by squeezing the spring clamps together and sliding them back on the hose. Wiggle the hose back and forth a little bit to loosen it up from the radiator, and then pull it off. Next, remove the 2 coolant lines that go to the top of the radiator and the overflow bottle. Remove the 2 upper radiator mounting brackets that utilize the 2 12mm mounting bolts. Hold the power steering supply hose out of the way and lift the radiator straight out. Next, remove the coolant bottle by pushing the tab on the right side of the fan shroud, pulling out. And remove the 1 10mm head bolt over here and the 2 over here to get the fans off. All right, now that we got both these radiators out, you can see side by side where the differences actually lie. Mishimoto, obviously fully polished, fully TIG welded, beautiful construction. The proof is in the pudding, guys. Right here, check this out. That's almost 1 3/4 inches thick. That's the core. The stock one, a little over 1 inch. This is almost twice the cooling power. So if you're making twice the power out of your WRX, this is exactly the radiator you need. Any kind of cooling demands that may need to be met by your WRX will be handled easily with the Mishimoto radiator. All right, so maybe as a WRX owner, you bought your WRX to go rally racing. Well, if you're not going off 30-foot jumps, maybe you're fighting rush hour traffic, Either way, Mishimoto's got you covered. Their lifetime warranty is going to cover just about anything that happens to this. So whether you're fighting rush hour traffic and you get in a little fender bender, or you're going off 30-foot jumps, Mishimoto has got you covered. If this thing ever springs a leak, not a problem. Just give them a call. It gets you a new one out right away. Mishimoto's been sweet enough to provide you with this handy bolt kit, and this handy bolt kit is going to allow you to install the fans onto the radiator. In order to do so, what you want to do is put a lock washer closest to the head of the bolt, like so. Put the flat washer on, and the fans are going to get attached right like so. And you're going to be using Mishimoto's bolts simply because you cannot go wrong with all metal. So, with the material change comes hardware. Time to reinstall the coolant bottle just as it came out. Behind there, and it clips in right here. Make sure these rubber mounts are in the bottom of the rad support. These guys are very important to make sure that no hole is rubbed through the bottom of the radiator. Make sure they're in good working order, and if they need to be replaced, please do so at this time. Now that we got the fans installed on the radiator, time to put it in the car. Please take note of the metal mounting pegs that are on the top of this. There's also ones on the bottom, and those are the pegs that fit directly into the rubber isolators on the bottom. If you don't get the metal pegs in the bottom of the radiator support right, your motor is going to end up blowing up, and your girlfriend's going to break up with you, and you're not going to pass go, and you're not going to collect $200. Basically, everything's going to go to hell. So make sure you get those lower pegs in the lower rad support. Next, we're going to put the upper radiator mounting brackets on. Note the holster for the hood prop goes on the left side of the car, right side if you're facing the radiator. And reinstall the 12mm head bolts that hold these on. Handy dandy tube back in. That sucker's gonna connect right like that. This guy's gonna connect like that. And we're gonna get our sweet Mishimoto hardware kit back out, because we need a couple more pieces of hardware for this next step. Fold that sucker in there. Sweet hardware kit, Mishimoto, thank you. Reattach the hoses. Since we're in the Mishimoto laboratory, we're getting rid of the rubber, in with the silicone. Look at that beauty. Can't deny that. All right, it's time to put the serious hat back on, folks. And by serious, I mean installing the hose clamps, because if you don't do that, not good things will happen. Make sure those hose clamps get on there. If you're in for a little bit of an upgrade here, Mishimoto also makes T-bolt hose clamps. They're great for this application. All right, next you want to come down underneath the car, reinstall the fan wiring, and just plug her back in right here. Make sure it's securely attached. Same thing on the other side. Let's go ahead and show you that. Come on down. All right, now it's time to put the radiator hose on. What we're gonna do is install the clamps onto the hose before we put it on. And we're gonna install this right on there, right after we get the other one on. All right, we're almost finished with our install. And before you put that lower pan back on, you wanna make sure that you refill everything and double check for leaks before you put the pan on. That way you'll be able to spot where the leaks are coming from. Get out your coolant funnel. We're gonna put a 50-50 mix of coolant and water in. And that should be half antifreeze, half water. If your WRX has a coolant reservoir above the intake manifold, this is your fill point. If it does not, you will fill it directly into the radiator. While that's draining down, let's go ahead and reconnect our negative battery terminal.
All right, we're almost ready to fire it up, so don't get ahead of me here. What you want to do is turn the heat on high and make sure that the fan motor is at full speed. What this does is it allows the air bubbles from the heater core that may have been drained when you drain the coolant back into the top of the radiator and then eventually out your coolant funnel.
Make sure you don't have any leaks and you're good to go.